The Oklahoma City Thunder are just consistently great. Every day feels like Groundhog Day. It's deja vu all over again. We're going to talk about this win over the Pacers on today's show.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast or the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder yet again, getting a lopsided win, just beating the brakes off the Indiana Pacers. That pace car no longer can come to a stop properly after what the Thunder did to Indiana in a game that's really the different verse, same as the first. It's Groundhog's Day. It's deja vu all over again. We've seen this story before. We've seen this story time and time again. On March 30th now, as the clock strikes midnight, Oklahoma City has 48 double-digit wins. Why is that number so significant? Because it ties the second most all-time. Who does it tie them with? The 2017 Golden State Warriors. They're two back from the best mark in NBA history, which was that 1972 Los Angeles Lakers squad who had 50 double-digit wins. This has been a historic group, a historic season. And the Thunder have been consistent in all of it. The only thing that hasn't been consistent is who's available. In this game, no Chet Holmgren, no Aaron Wiggins, no J. Will, no Usman Jang even. And after 14 minutes of play, you lost Isaiah Hartenstein too. So there's no center on the court. And yet the Thunder pull off this lopsided win over Indiana because they're just a deeper team. They're a more talented team. They're a better team than anyone else in the league right now. And they'll have to, of course, carry this success over to the playoffs. But sometimes it's okay to look at things through this prism of how great it's been, where it's going. I mean, this is just the start of something special in Oklahoma City. And appreciate what you're watching day to day. Because if you want to know when you're in the good old days, it's right now. Like, this is the era. This is the team. This is something that you'll look back on forever. The teams on that list that have been able to get these gaudy numbers of double-digit wins. It's the Lakers in 72. The Warriors in 17, the Bucks in 71, the 96 and 97 Bulls, the 2008 Celtics, the 2015 Warriors, the 2019 Bucks, the 16 Warriors, the 13 Thunder, the 16 Spurs. How do those fan bases, how do those cities look back on those seasons? And yeah, for a large chunk of this list, they look back more fondly because they won a championship. But even think about yourself. When this team was winning 24 games, you were thinking back to 2013 saying, man, is this team going to get back there? Those sure were good times, huh? And that 2013 team did not win a title. Like, this team is just something that you need to appreciate. And you need to appreciate the ability to adapt and overcome to adversity. And you need to appreciate the intensity level that this team plays with. Because you can say, yeah, it's just the Pacers. But the Pacers have played great basketball over these last couple of months. The Pacers lost 2 games in their last 10. The Pacers are a good ball club. And many other NBA teams, whenever I rattle off the list of guys that they did not have tonight for the full 48 minutes, would have just packed it up and called it a day. In this era where all we do is complain and complain about competitiveness, complain about effort, complain about the regular season not being taken seriously enough by teams. Then we get a team who is doing it. Then we get a team who is fighting, who is scrapping and clawing every single night. And what do we do to that team? We say, yeah, but it doesn't really matter unless you win a championship. Malarkey, it doesn't. Whether this team wins a title, which I think that they will, or this team flames out in the second round. Whatever happens, this is still a amazing season filled with amazing moments that might come to a bittersweet ending. But it also could come to a glorious ending. But you can't let that cloud your judgment of what you're watching right now. Many of you out there, and I met a few of you tonight, and I really appreciate it every time that somebody stops me at these games and talks about the show. It means a lot. But many of you out there, like you remember specific games from this regular season that brought you some sense of joy, some sense of happiness, some sense of fulfillment, some memory, some bonding experience with a loved one or a friend or whatever. And that's what it's about a lot of the times. That's what it should be about. And to me, you just can't have it both ways. You can't point to the NBA's rating issue, right, and say nobody watches the games because the players don't care. The players don't even play. The players, are just soft these days. The players are this, that, and the third. Then you get a bunch of players who are playing at the exact style that you want them to. They're led by a guy who plays every night, who operates in the mid-range and masters the art form that you think is from a bygone era and that you long for, more mid-range operation, less threes. They play hard, physical, just scrappy defense every single night, diving on the floor, hunting down every loose ball, and creating havoc on defense every single night, and take that toll every single night. And every single night, it's Groundhog's Day because it's the exact same thing we've talked about for 6 months now. Yeah, the Thunder just turned it on and blew them out, and the defense was awesome, and Shea was awesome. We can do the same show over and over and over again. I could pre-record these shows and have a success rate of like 95%. That I can tell you how a game goes before it goes down because it's gone the same way 62 times. That's how special this team is. And so we can't have it both ways of criticizing the current modern NBA of, they just don't play the game the right way. They just don't care. And then when you see a team that does care, you try to cast them aside too and say, well, until they win, what does it mean? It means that they're a damn good basketball team. It means that they're a historically great team. It means that this team, you're going to look back on and wish you appreciated it more. And it's a team that you should appreciate currently, no matter if they win or lose the title or somewhere in between. But I thought that the fight that they showed tonight and the resilience, and I think back to my current days as a Tennessee football fan. And if anyone is a fellow Vol for life, shout out to you. But famed football coach General Nealon has his maxims that the Vols read before every game. And one of his maxims is, if at first the breaks don't go your way, put on more steam. And that's what the Thunder did tonight. They got down by 10 points. It didn't go their way early. They put on more steam, and they got control of this game. Then they lost to Isaiah Hartenstein after swelling their biggest lead of the night heading into intermission. And the Pacers cut that lead, right at 10 or at 9, something of that nature early on in the third. And what they do, put on more steam and blow this game right out, where they grew their biggest lead in that fourth quarter, which was 25 points, and got another double-digit and lopsided win, 132-111 over the Indiana Pacers, who's a good team, who's a well-coached team. But the Thunder put them in situations tonight to really, really bend them over a barrel tonight, and we're going to talk about that coming up. But first, I want to tell you right now, but our good friends over at Game Time, go check out Game Time today, because there's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy from the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside or two. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets even easier than ever before. Game Time, their new feature with the Game Time picks, it filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Make sure you check them out today, because you have peace of mind with a view from your seat before you buy. There's no surprise fees at checkout, and the lowest price is guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles, here for the bonus show and another show, 7th of the week, talking Thunder basketball as the Thunder make us work overtime playing on a Saturday. But nonetheless, we love it, and we love the job that we have to do. So I'm not sure how long the show will go, but we'll talk until we're finished. How about that? The Thunder get this win in a game that saw 7 lead changes, 5 ties, and a Pacers team that just ran out of gas. Because the first quarter, they played well. But the second that you leave that door open, the second that you slip, it just all snowballs downhill against this Thunder team. And Rick Carlisle is sitting around with one timeout in his back pocket at the end of the game, because he's going on a flurry of timeouts in the first quarter, trying to create any advantages that he can, and then he lost a critical challenge, which he shouldn't have challenged. But it just goes to show that even down to your timeout managements, that you have to be perfect against this Thunder team, because that third quarter run got long. That third quarter run got lengthy, and it really put the game away whenever you pushed it out to over 20 points in that third quarter. But he couldn't call a timeout until the 32-second mark of the third frame, where he just had to do something, because he only had a couple of timeouts left, because he burned them all up in the first quarter. That's a Hall of Fame coach. It's a legendary coach. But like, you have to know that the Thunder run is going to unfold. So you can't just go and burn all your timeouts. You need to be preservative to kind of try to get the car back on the road when those runs do happen. And they didn't have it from that standpoint. They didn't have it from a player standpoint. The Thunder dominate points in the paint, 58-40. Thunder dominate second chance points. Thunder dominate fast break points. Thunder win the rebounding battle 47-43, despite not having a center for half of a game. Thunder shoot 51% from the floor, 47% from three, and 82% from the free throw line. And that 47% from three, if the Thunder shoot that mark, you're toast. Because you look at what Lou did, you look at what Joe did. Like, if those guys are hitting threes at a high clip, you're toast. And meanwhile, the Pacers went for 44% from the floor and 33% from three. But I thought that the rebounding was a big deal, just because you're seeing ways that they can create possessions and how they've internally improved. I think that sometimes the Thunder can, sometimes they can get put behind an 8 ball of just as the same names. So you forget how young they are. You forget how they've developed. It's like Isaiah Joe flying in and getting a rebound, and he ends up with 5 of them, but flying in early on in this game and getting a rebound because Caruso puts a body on someone and lets the Thunder get in transition. Like, those tiny wins stack up over the course of a game. It's like the 3-point shooting. Like, yeah, these are the same guys who couldn't get their shots off in the playoffs, and when they did, they couldn't make them. And they're the same names, and so you have those reservations because, well, last time we saw so-and-so in the playoffs, they couldn't shoot. Yeah, but they were also in their first ever playoff run. They were also a different player, and like they've all gotten better. Like you look at Jay Will and Kaysen and how they've experimented and how they've thrived with the no dip threes, and they've gotten quicker releases to kind of combat that playoff level defense and playoff level closeout and intensity. You've seen Isaiah Joe turn into just a lethal movement shooter, which he can then force the issue and get open rather than being more stationary the way he was a year ago. And then you've brought in more bites at the apple with Alex Caruso, who in his past has been a 40% three-point shooter. And if he has a hot postseason, well, you can put the kids to bed. Jalen Williams has been really good this year from three. And you still have Chet. You still have J-Dub. You still have Shea, who's gotten better. Shea has from three. Went 3 for 6 tonight. This team's just gotten a lot better from where they were a year ago. The ones who were still here, much less whenever you look at the improvements of signing Hartenstein, of trading for Caruso. And I thought tonight you really saw that with Lou Dort going 6 for 7 from three. Isaiah Joe went 5 for 7 from three. Thunder hit 17 threes in this one and scored 132 points. It was a really impressive game from all aspects. I thought the most impressive part was Jalen Williams. He had 18 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds. He was a plus 10, 50% shooting from the floor. He did go 0 for 2 from three, but I thought that the way he controlled the game in the third quarter was what you need to see from him in the playoffs. And it's been more sustainable this year than it has in the past, which obviously that makes sense. He's a young guy. He's still growing. But in that third quarter, 10 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, perfect 3 for 3 from the floor, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. He's gotten to the free throw line a lot more, which is an encouraging sign. Tonight in that third quarter, he was in complete command of the offense. He had spacing around him. He was making quick and right decisions. He was getting downhill relentlessly. That's what you need to see him do consistently, and it has been a good stretch from him in that regard. And tonight was a complete takeover in that third quarter from Jalen Williams. So he was just excellent. Brandon Carlson got first quarter minutes. He had a huge block, ends up with 2 of them early on. Like he chips in. And he, even while playing garbage time, he ends up with a plus 2. This Thunder team was just able to continue their trend of what they've done all season long and what they've sustainably done. And there's not really a reason to believe that they won't continue this into the playoffs. I look at last season whenever I told you that this team won't forget how to play basketball in the playoffs. And they won their first series since Kevin Durant was in town. And it's like that team didn't just forget how to play. There were things that were highlighted, right? Like they could not win games whenever Chet was off the court. They could not win minutes whenever Chet was off the court. That was a flaw that's been addressed. We've talked about them not getting shots off well enough. They've addressed that. But I think that they have a lot that's gone right for them to have a successful run in the playoffs, especially if you can get sustained health. Like I really think that it gets lost whenever you look at the causation correlation of the Thunder being the 1 seed far and away, because the name doesn't shock you. It's not shocking that the Thunder are number 1, but they're 62-12. And if I told you everything that they would have to battle through to get to this point back in October, none of you would have still picked them to be the 1 seed. And I know that because the day that Chet went down on November 10th, people were saying, well, it'd be good if they can just hold on to home court advantage. If they can just hold on to home court advantage, it'd be good. They didn't just do that. They've clinched the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference, and they're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the NBA before another West team has clinched the actual playoffs. Right? The Rockets and Nuggets and Lakers and Grizzlies, they've clinched the right to be in the postseason. But they haven't clinched the right to the actual playoffs. That's insane. That's just great success by OKC. And it's something that should be appreciated, something that should be, you know, an ability to not measure this based upon the postseason because we just don't know what's going to happen in the postseason. We don't know. Again, they could win a title, they could lose in the second round. We don't know. But that doesn't take away from what this has been, from what this stretch has been. And I thought that the way that this team was coached tonight was really impressive. Like, even down to him giving his team a chance to win in a game where you easily could have said, we're down so many bodies. We have everything locked up. We could lose every single game from here on out and still be the one seed in the West. Let's just call it a day. Let's just call it a day, regroup, try again next time. But this team fought. They changed Shea's rotational patterns. They made adaptations to playing, Caruso and Kinrich together and dusting off that small ball lineup. They did everything in their power to get a win, and they did, not just a win, but a blowout win. And there's many other coaches out there and many other superstars out there who would have been stubborn, who would have not wanted to change their rotational pattern, would have not wanted to make adjustments like that on the fly, who couldn't make adjustments like that on the fly. But this team did. This team can. This team does. It's really impressive stuff. So that's your bonus podcast. We'll be back on Monday to preview the upcoming week. We're going to talk about, of course, the Josh Giddey homecoming, but a very fun week of games coming up in OKC as they continue the stretch of playing, playoff level teams. We're also going to talk about how the Thunder should handle this stretch. When do you start to factor in rest versus rust, and what do you start to do when you're looking ahead at the standings? And of course, we'll have our Monday check-in with how the matchups are shaping up out west. If we can have a little bit more clarity on that at all. We'll talk about all that on tomorrow's show. Thank you all for listening to this bonus podcast. Until next time, be good and be good to one another.